PatientNotes is a tool that will help you generate clinical notes, letters, and medical reports. So to start a new session, I just need to enter the patient's name. I then choose what type of prompt or template I'd like to run it across. So in this case, I'm going to use an initial consult. I'm going to then start the session. Gain the patient's consent to use audio for your session. If you collect that information elsewhere, such as your onboarding forms, you have the option of disabling this particular screen. In this case, I've received the patient's consent. I choose my microphone, and then I simply start the session. Talk away, engage with your patients. You'll find it a really great way of reinventing your consult style. You have the ability to pause a consult should you wish to go off record, and then you can simply resume that later on. Now, it's really important to know that if you're doing a session and you're talking about just general chit chat, it will actually know aspects to exclude. So if I started to talk about someone's recreational activities and it wasn't of clinical context, it actually will exclude that information. So don't worry that it's transcribing everything. The notes will be populated in the language and style of what you would normally collect. Once the session's done, finish recording, and clinical notes will then be generated. In this case, I've done a consult of somebody with left-sided neck pain. I've got here my complaint, all of the details about the presenting condition, aggravating easing factors, and so on. The extent of the context is really pertinent and accurate to what that session reflected. Now, if there's anything missing, I can go down to the bottom and I can ask the AI then to generate more information based around a certain thing that we might have discussed. I can give it thumbs up or thumbs down. When it does that, it will generate a new draft that can reappear at the top. You have the ability to edit on screen and simply type away. We've built in a speech to text functionality. I recommend the patient attains an MRI. Following the MRI, we'll decide whether conservative or interventional procedures will be undertaken. In this case, I've actually chosen to speak to it because it's faster than me typing. Once I'm happy with those notes, I simply mark it as complete. This puts it on the clipboard that I can then paste straight into my practice management system. From here, one of the real pearls of our system is that we can then generate a patient summary. We know that in most cases, patients or clients will actually forget a large element of the consult. So being able to provide them with an outline summary in an accurate, non-template style, which what I mean by that is not just a tick pro forma, a really customized report about their session is amazingly powerful, not only in the patient or client's journey and ultimately their success, but also helps with really engaging for the rebooking and taking the client along the journey for their recovery. Here, again, I can edit it. I can use the speech to text function that I showed before, and I can either copy, paste this, put this back into my practice management system and email it across, or I have the ability to print it from here to then use it on my letterhead to give to the patient. Again, you can utilize the thumbs up and thumbs down function, which will give feedback to not only our technical team, but also it enables us to reach out to support you in how your prompts can be better. From here, again, returning back to the clinical consult, you have the option to write a letter. So in many cases, you'll then sort of either want to write back to the referrer or part of their medical team. In this case, I'm going to choose a thank you for referring letter. I'm going to add some additional context. This might be some imaging results. It might be some blood tests. It might even just be some strength tests that I've actually added in during the consult. I address that to the receiver. And here I'll just put in sort of grip strength. So I could put grip strength information. I can paste text in there similarly. I then generate that information and the letter's populated within around 10 seconds. You have that option to create multiple letters. So it might be a referral letter, might be one back to a specialist, or it might be a work capacity certificate. Again, you can populate these all simultaneously just by choosing different template editors. Now, the big thing with our system is that it's completely customized to your needs. So when you go into the settings, you'll see in this case, my profile is actually set up that I am a musculoskeletal physio and I've got my special interests. It knows how PatientNotes wants to respond. Earlier on, I talked about prompts. Now, prompts are really AI templates. The template that I had up earlier, you'll see really worked off this format. It talked about the presenting complaint, aggravating, easing factors, red flags, and so on. Now, you might want to edit either the format of this, the language, the style, even the content that picks it up. And we're really finding that AI is a great natural language term that you can change and say, okay, I don't want to have symptoms in that section. I want to put it into another aspect. Simply do that, go down and choose the consult that you've had there before, and then see the comparison of the output either before or after your changes. We have an extensive prompt library. So again, I might be a physiotherapist, but I might have a special interest or have an employee that comes on who's a women's health. I can simply choose that. Now, under the professions, you'll see we've got everything from medical surgeons to specialists to arts therapists to vets. And here we give you the option to choose not only clinical templates, but also the letter templates that you want. So I'm going to choose a sports medicine approach, and I want to add that to my prompts. Make any edits, simply add to prompts. And that will now be my lookup when I start a session. And it's really important that the microphone input is accurate. So we have a microphone check that you can simply run a test in not only sort of where you might be interviewing your patient, but all aspects of the consulting room. Now, if you find that it picks up and plays back for all your normal consulting zone, it's going to work really, really well. Now, our system has an amazing help center whereby you'll find answers to all of your questions. If you find that there's a certain dropout in areas of your consulting room, then we recommend you look either at our support guide for information about the best options for mics or contact our team. We also have the ability to set up things like organizations and invite your peers. Now, if you were wanting to sort of know how to set up your organization, simply go to the tab, look at organizations, and then set that up. Include your practice details. We offer some integrations, and then invite your peers from your same clinic. The dictate mode eliminates the need to put in patient information and really expedites the capture of clinical notes and report writing. In this case, I might refer to that patient. Shan came in with a history of 4-week worsening left-sided neck pain with some radiating symptoms down into the 5th finger. Examination showed a possible radiculopathy. Next stage is to look at an MRI to consider surgical or conservative management. Today, we talked about the education and prevention, and we will review her on completion of the MRI. You'll now see that it will populate the patient's information, being the name and a little snippet of their condition, and clinical notes will then be generated. I have the option of going into the notes, pasting those into our clinical practice management system, or adding in additional voice to text comments with the microphone dictation mode. We can then mark that as complete and very quickly write a letter. So gone are the days of having to use a dictation system where you have to punctuate and speak to it as a real translation device. This is a smart dictation mode. The third way that you can use this system is enter clinic notes manually. This enables you to collect information from your practice management system, select the enter patient notes, and then paste that information straight in to the system from here. And then you can write your letters and reports. On average, we find that using it for the audio consult for the whole clinical session saves about 5 minutes per consult. When you're writing detailed medico-legal reports, it can save up to 1 to 2 hours when you're combining multiple sessions or multiple data. So we encourage you to try all those three different ways to find what suits you. Now, we're not a practice management system, and we don't hold your data for any longer than we need to. Our policy is that we store the data for up to 30 days, or if you wanted to delete that prior to that, you have the option of going into sessions, finding the session, making sure that the information that you've captured is back in your practice management system. And then if you want to get rid of it, simply click the options and delete. What we would encourage you to do is from here, go in and actually sign up for an account. We offer a 2-week trial. To access that, you go into the main website, PatientNotes.app, enter in an email address and a password, and then click sign up. From here, you'll be asked to enter your name, region, and profession. So here I'm going to choose Australia, and here I'm going to now select that I'm an orthopedic surgeon. It will now generate an example of a patient based on the conditions that I commonly treat. So I'm going to say that I commonly see ACLs and I treat sporting football injuries. It's now going to generate an example patient with an example transcript. Have a look through here. It's not important that you necessarily read the exact context. Proceed through. And we're going to give you the option now of sort of walking through the process like I've demonstrated. You'll see now that the clinical notes will be generated, and in most cases, the notes take around 20 seconds to populate. From here, it will have default prompts. Now, the default prompts, again, it's an example. Work through a lot of these bubbles and just have the navigation sort of comfortable before you do your first session with your client. Write a patient summary, have a look through and write some medical letters. And then I'd encourage you to then go from here and to explore the prompt library to find the prompt that best suits you.